Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally sitting down to play with the new Jaclyn Cosmetics Luxe Legacy, I almost messed that up, Luxe Legacy collection. So this is her new collaboration with her mom, Robin, and I haven't even touched this. I actually received this when I was in Florida. The timing just wasn't in my favor. I believe it arrived the day I left or even the next day, and I got home and had other obligations I had to do first, but now we're sitting down to play with this. So I have the entire collection. In this collection we have lip products, we have powder, setting spray, eyeliners, an eyeshadow palette, and then I think we also have eyeshadow primer. So we're just going to be creating a look using all of these products. Of course, I will link everything down below. I thought a cool thing about this was it was immediately available at Ulta, which I thought was great, just because I know a lot of people shop at Ulta. You may have points. It's more accessible than a brand website. So I'll have all the products linked at Ulta down below. But if you're new here, I hope you subscribe. If you enjoy these first impression videos, please give this video a thumbs up, and let's go ahead and dive into the new Jaclyn Cosmetics collection. So here is the PR box. She is quite literally huge, but in here you have all the products, and then of course you have a beautiful photo on the front of Jaclyn and her mom. So essentially she collaborated with her mom, and I believe this is supposed to be sort of like a Mother's Day collection because it is coming up. So in here you have a plethora of products that her mom actually created. So Jaclyn did say some of these products are not like her preference, but she really gave her mom control to do the products that work for her. I'm interested to try this because there are some products that I think I'm really gonna like the lipsticks. I know a lot of people don't wear a lot of pink, but in here there seems to be a lot of really light pink lip products, which I'm personally a fan of. So usually in these reviews, I go through each product, swatch it, talk about the pricing and all of that, and then I get into the demo. I think I'm gonna switch it up because I feel like it just takes forever to do it that way. And I'm just going to start applying products and talk about each product like right before I apply it or while I'm applying it. So instead of doing like a full rundown in the beginning, I'm just gonna go, start off with the eyeshadow primer, talk about the price, swatch it, demo it, then move to the eyeshadow palette, if that makes sense. I think that'll be easier to follow for you guys, and I also think that it will just flow better for me rather than trying to swatch everything and show all the products and then go back and start creating a look. So we're gonna start out today with the eyeshadow primer, which I have to say, I started doing my makeup. I always do my brows before, and I use concealer to clean up my brows, and then I do prime my eyes with concealer. I actually did it, and then I was like, crap, and I had to remove it. So I just concealed under my brow, but I'm a little nervous about this eyeshadow primer because it looks to be one that really doesn't have any pigment to it, which is not my preference, but I'm gonna go ahead and give everything a shot and give you my honest opinions. So I've zoomed you in, and let's start off with the first base eyeshadow primer. So this retails for $20, and they describe it as a sheer translucent formula that dries down matte and visibly smooths the look of your skin so your eyeshadow looks last. The packaging has this tube, and then it does have a doe foot, and it definitely is sheer. I mean, they did say that in the video. I watched Jaclyn's reveal video, and she basically said there's not going to be any like pigment in terms of covering up veins or anything like that. You can see that I have the purple veins and redness and things like that. But I'm gonna do my best to apply this and blend it into the concealer under my brow. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the lid. It definitely is very thin, and it feels like it almost has like a silicone slip to it. I also don't think that I would set this with powder, and I'm hoping that this is going to look okay with the concealer. Because I do have microblading, I need the concealer to clean up my brows. So that's typically why I just use concealer all over, or I'll use something like the P. Louise base, something that has pigment. So in terms of how my eyelids feel, they don't feel super sticky. There's like a slight tack to them, but it feels very light. It feels like a really, really thin silicone sort of primer if you've ever tried that. There's definitely like a slip to it, which makes sense because that would really smooth out any wrinkles or fine lines you have. So we will see how eyeshadow goes on top of it. I'm not gonna set it because I don't think that's what she recommends. Typically I would set my base, but I'm just gonna go with it and we'll see how the shadows blend. So now we're gonna jump into the eyeshadow palette. Now I know that this was something that people were really curious in terms of what kind of formula Jaclyn Cosmetics would come out with because she has worked so closely with Morphe. So I'm definitely gonna be thinking in the back of my mind, comparing the formula to Morphe. But this is the Luxe Legacy Eyeshadow Palette, retails for $49. So the description says, luxury is timeless, so keep it going with classic neutrals for an all-day polish and deep shimmers for an all-out after dark glam. So the colors in here are neutral, and you do have a mixture. You definitely have some cool tones in here, but then you also do have some warm. I'm really curious how this is gonna perform on the eyes. When I watched her video, it didn't seem like the shimmers were overly intense. But again, if her mom created this, maybe her mom likes more of like a satin finish, whereas, Jaclyn is kind of known for like blinding, everything blinding. So I do also think it's a little bit strange, I guess, that her first dip into eyeshadow or her first release for eyeshadow is a collab with her mom. Like, I know this means a lot to her and I think it's a super sweet collaboration. But for me, as like, if I was a business owner, I don't know if I would release my first eyeshadow formula or first eyeshadow palette within my brand as a collaboration with anyone else, because I feel like I would want it to be like my vision. But again, this just could be a Mother's Day collaboration that really was very special to Jaclyn and her mom, and she decided to do it this way. So I'm happy to try it out. But just in terms of like comparing it to what Jaclyn is really known for, which is like crazy, crazy glowy, high shine. I mean, Jaclyn is more of a full glam type of gal. These don't look like intensely metallic, but I'm assuming because her mom chose the formula and chose the shades. Now in this collection, you can pick up this palette for $49, or you can pick up a special edition for Mother's Day. So you do have the option to pick up the Dear Mom eyeshadow palette, and it's solely on her website, whereas everything else is available at Ulta. So on the front, you have a picture of Jaclyn and her mom, and then on the back, just a bunch of photos of, people with their moms, which I think is super cute. Again, personally, I don't really want somebody else and their mom, like their face on my palette. I don't know, it's not like my favorite. I would go for the other palette. Now, if you were gonna purchase this for your mom, I think it's a cute idea, but for me personally, I would just rather go with the original palette, but that's literally just me. But I will say that the photos are only on the box packaging, and then the actual palette just says Dear Mom. So it's a cute gesture. I think it's really sweet. Most people don't keep, their box packaging, so your mom would only, have this palette. But for me personally, I'd probably just go for the original if I was gonna gift it to my mom. And then inside, it's the exact same formula and colors. So really, it's just a special Dear Mom packaging if you want to gift this to your mother for Mother's Day or for sentimental value. But the palettes are the same price and they have the same formula, same colors. So I think I'm gonna start with this shade up here called Peanty Butter. The names on here are kind of funny, like mashed potatoes, apple pie, pudding girl. She's a foodie like I am. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this shade as a transition. And I wanna see how this blends, obviously, on that eyeshadow base. I'm also noticing, and I'll throw a close up, but two of the pans in here on these metallics, they're like lifted, like the actual metal in the pans. So the shadow is pressed in there fine, but it's almost like these two shades, the metal wasn't pressed all the way in, which, I mean, it's kind of strange, but just wanted to note. So this is actually more pigmented than I was expecting. So because I'm posting this after the launch, typically I do post before, but I wasn't home. I want to know what you guys picked up and have you tried anything? What are you loving? I'm most excited, honestly, to try the setting spray, and I really want to try the lip products because I love pink lip products. I don't foresee myself loving the pink lip liners as much, but I really like pink lipsticks, which I don't feel like we see that often. I feel like a lot of people really don't love like the baby pinks. But those are some of my favorites. I'm gonna take a little bit of this light shade called Biscuit, and I wanna use this just to blend out the edges. So I definitely want to play with the green in here. So I'm going to take the shade Moo, which is like that matte green. And I want to apply this just on the outer portion of the eye. So far I'm noticing that this matte green has more of a buildable formula, which is not a bad thing. It's just one of those that it's not like one dip and it's like crazy pigment and you can't blend it out. It's more of those that you can layer, you know, 2 to 3 layers to really get the depth that you want. It's just gonna be easier to work with for most people, and you can still get that depth, but you just have to apply layers instead of just laying it down and then working really hard to kind of blend it. All right, so now I want to try one of these shimmers. I'm going to go into Apple Pie, and I want to just use my finger. This is just a gold shade. I mean, it definitely shows up. It's a little bit, you know, more like Bam than I thought, but I just feel like comparing it to Jaclyn, she usually loves like crazy metallic, and this is just like a nice standard metallic, I'd say. For the way inner corner, I'm gonna try French Silk here just to lighten up. I'm probably gonna mix actually the two. And then I also just wet my brush and I'm going over that shimmer just to see if I can get it to pop a little bit more. Yeah, so wetting it definitely makes it pop a little bit more, which is pretty typical. So now I want to mix the black and this deep brown shade, and I'm going to use this to do a smoky wing. I'm just using a flat brush to start. Okay, so I actually think I'm not going to do a wing. I always do, and I want to try to do something a little different. So I'm actually just going to just smoke this basically into the outer corner, but not actually like do a wing. Just smoke it pretty heavily up here. And then I can go back in with that green shade and just sort of blend around this. So I'm kind of letting the shadow just pull the eye out and give me that winged sort of look, but I'm not doing like a winged liner, which, you know, for me, I love my winged liner. So I went ahead and did my lashes and my base, and I want to move on to the next product. I feel like a lot of people are curious about this. So this is the Powder Move Setting Powder. This retails for $30. There are 6 different shades. Make powder moves with this loose setting powder that blurs and smooths the appearance of skin while setting makeup with a soft focus, finish, and subtle radiance. So I have the shades here, Sheer Fair and Sheer Light. So the packaging's really nice. I mean, it is a little bit chunky, but it's very much like the Jaclyn. And then it says Jaclyn X Robin on here. It's very heavy and weighted. So I want to go ahead and swatch this powder. She said that her mom really liked this powder because it didn't enhance any of her fine lines or make her under eyes look dry. The only thing that worries me is any kind of powder that has radiance, even if it's subtle. I tend to not love that under my eyes, so that does, you know, concern me a little bit, but I feel like if it works for mature skin, maybe it will work for me. Okay, so this is the Sheer Fair and Sheer Light. It's hard to tell on camera, but when I look at them up close, I can definitely tell that the light just is a little bit deeper than the fair, and I can definitely see that sheen. When I look at my hand, I'm not really seeing it, but when I actually hold my hand up to the light in my monitor in my mirror, I can see that radiance. So we'll have to see how this applies under the eyes. So I want to use a concealer that I know that I love. So this is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in Porcelain. This is just a staple for me. So my concealer is on, and I think I'm going to start out with the powder in Sheer Fair. I really want to see how brightening it is, and I'm just going to apply it as I normally would and say a prayer that it doesn't enhance all of my pores and texture. Okay, so I have the powder on the sponge, and I am pressing in. So, okay, I kind of figured, but I'm gonna make sure I really get under the eye and then I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, so I zoomed you in, and here is the issue I'm having. I feel like it's clinging to my fine lines. I just feel like you can see that radiance, but I feel like this is a powder that I personally would only use like on the perimeter of my face. This is an ongoing theme with me though. I know a lot of people love powders with radiance in it. They just always enhance things on me, and I wouldn't pull this down around my pore area. I'm gonna try possibly using a brush just to put a little bit on this side just under the eye. So I'm gonna take a powder here and I'm just gonna, or I'm taking the powder, I'm sorry, I'm taking a brush and I'm focusing in like just under the eye. So this is the side with a brush and less powder. This is the side with the sponge, which I don't like. I like this side more, but I still don't think that I would use this in my T-zone like at all. I'm gonna actually reach for my Huda Beauty powder, and then I wanna use the Sheer Light on the perimeters of my face. There's a radiance to it though, and the thing is, it's not crazy, like it's more on the lower spectrum comparing it to other powders. But for me, anything with a radiance is going to enhance texture, and I have the most texture right through here, so I just prefer matte. So I'm just using my Huda powder, and I'm just gonna use this really just in my T-zone, and then we'll play around with the Sheer Light. So something interesting I'm noticing, I almost like this powder as like a highlighter. It's giving my face like this really pretty glow. It's giving me like the most subtle radiance. I don't know, you guys can tell me what you think down below, but I wanna go in now with the Sheer Light, I have powder all over me, and try this like on my forehead area. So I have the Sheer Light, and I'm just gonna dust this on the perimeter of my like forehead. I mean, I actually like the formula of the powder. It's very light. So this is what the Sheer Light looks like on my forehead. I do feel like there's a subtle glow. I like the amount of radiance in it, but for me, it would just be like more of a finishing powder. I'm gonna take the Sheer Fair, and I wanna almost just like use it as a highlighter. This just gives a really beautiful glow to your skin while also setting your makeup. So I feel like it really is beautiful like on the cheekbone area, even like up here. And it's not like a glittery highlight or anything. It almost gives you like that lit from within glow. I just keep it out of my T-zone. So I did my bronzer and blush off camera. I will link what I used, but I have to give a shout out to this Lunar Beauty Nude Prism blush palette. I mixed these two shades together. You know I love a punchy blush, so I use this with a little bit of this. So gorgeous. I'm gonna be doing a video incorporating this collection. Again, this arrived when I was on vacation. I wanna go ahead and finish off the eyes. I'm gonna go into the palette and I'm gonna take this deep chocolate shade right here. This is called Bad Mousy. I'm just gonna use the same brush that I used to do the smoking on the top lash line. I wanna pull this like halfway over, connecting. So far, I'm having no issues with the eyeshadows, like at all. Formula seems really nice. I'm gonna jump back into that green shade called Moo. This is just the star of the show, and I wanna just basically smoke underneath. Okay, so I wanna move on to the next product. This is called the Inline Eyeliner Pencil. These retail for $18 and come in 5 different shades. It says, all eyes on you with this ultra smooth eyeliner formula that glides on easily and is highly concentrated with pigment for a color pop of payoff. Okay, I'm swatching them and they're swatching very, oh, I just broke one. Okay, maybe don't use the pressure I did. All right, I just sharpened it. Let's try this again with a lighter hand. You don't have to press hard. I mean, they are very creamy and very pigmented. Okay, so let's get into using this liner. So I'm gonna use the Smooth Black Brown, and I'm gonna use this to tight line. So the biggest issues I typically have with liners is that they're too dry and they just literally have no pigment, like they won't show up in the waterline, or they're too creamy and they get on my contacts. Those are like my 2 issues. I'm not really someone that struggles with mascara transfer or eyeliner transfer. I think it's because I set heavily and I don't really have like watery eyes. So I'm not sure about that, but I wanna see in the waterline. So it's definitely showing up. It's definitely creamy, but it doesn't feel too creamy. Like it's not slipping and sliding. It seems to work with the warmth of your skin or whatever you're kind of using it on. So to finish off the lower lash line, I do think I'm gonna go into Tootsie, which is that metallic green. And I wanna use this with a really small brush, just right in here. And then for the very inner corner, I'm gonna take mashed potato and I'm gonna use this, or mashed potatoes, and I'm just gonna use this like right there, just to brighten it up a little bit. Very subtly though. Okay, so eyes are done. I wanna move on to lips. So we have the Pout Spoken lip liners. They retail for $18. There's 4 different shades. It says, line and define your perfect pout with the super creamy, high pigmented pencil developed to pair with the Pout Spoken liquid lipsticks. So along with the lip liners, we have the Pout Spoken liquid lipsticks, which retail for $20. Stand out and be Pout Spoken with Jaclyn Hill's long-wearing Luxe matte shades. Buildable formula features breakthrough technology to give you an unstoppable color that stays put on your pout. So each of the lip liners has a corresponding liquid lipstick. I really love her lip liner formula. Her liquid lipsticks can be hit or miss. Now these shades are all really, really like pinky, and I like pink lips, but I don't typically like a pink lip liner. So I'm gonna swatch a couple for you. This would be way too light for me. This is the shade Hope, very, very light. So this is not a lip liner that I personally would ever wear, but this is the lightest tone. I'm gonna start out with the shade Sweetheart, which is the 3rd deepest, and I wanna see if this is dark enough. If not, then I'll jump into the darker one. Her formula, I really enjoy. This is what Sweetheart looks like. I feel like it's a pretty shade. It's different than what I'm used to. I do want to go in maybe with a little bit of Love, just to kind of intensify. All right, so here is the shade Love, and the reason I want to go in with this one is because these liquid lipsticks are all quite light. Well, not all of them, but 2 of them are, and I want to play around. So I almost want to start out with maybe Faith. I thought Faith would look good with this lip liner. So it's obviously much lighter. That's why I wanted the lip liner. I wouldn't personally wear the light lip liners, honestly, ever. But I really enjoy like the sort of ombre lips. Okay, for some reason, this is not working for me. It's like too much. I'm going in with the lip liner in Love. So I'm gonna go ahead and use a brush and try to blend this out. That's the problem with really matte liquid lipsticks. They're kind of hard to move once they set. I'm still like, this is really bright. Okay, maybe let's see. Should I apply a little bit of Hope? For some reason, I just feel like this is looking really, really bright, like too bright with the eyes, which I'm kind of like shocked by. I really thought, I think it's the lip liner, but I'm kind of shocked. Maybe I should have stuck with the first lip liner. Let's go back and try to put a little bit of Sweetheart lip liner on. See if I can like tone that down. Okay, so I feel like that helped a little bit, but to be honest, I think it's just the lip liners. I typically don't like pink lip liners on me, but I love a pink lipstick, so I would put the lipstick with like a nude liner, but obviously these are all pink. I'm not loving it. I feel like it's just a little bright for the eye look. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish off the look regardless. I'm really interested to try this last product out. This is called the All Set Setting Spray, and this is $28. Packaging is really nice, feels nice and weighted. It says set it and forget it with the superfine facial mist that primes, sets, conditions, and protects your look with a nourishing blend of oils and delivers a natural finish. It has like a really light lavender scent. The mister is not super fine in terms of like, I feel like a lot of product comes out, but there's no like droplets or anything. So let's go ahead and go for it. Okay, that definitely gave me some glow. Definitely feel like it gave me some hydration, which is interesting because I think she said in her video that this was like, people were going crazy in terms of like her friends and family and her team members saying that this locked their makeup in like incredibly well, which I wouldn't think was something that has a blend of oils in it and gives you hydration, but we will have to see. I'll have to update in my description box, but I like the finish that it gave me. I'm not getting like a heavy tack, maybe a little bit on my forehead, but I think I went a little heavy. All right, guys, so here's my finished makeup look using the products from the new Jaclyn Cosmetics collection. I quickly want to apply a little bit of this lip oil from her in Rose Drip. I'm not feeling this lip, like, at all. So I'm wondering if just like applying this on top will tone it down a little bit. I was trying to think of a lip product that I had that I thought would tone it down. I didn't want to use like another liquid lipstick. These lip oils from her are one of my favorites. All right, so I had to throw my hair back. Honestly, it gets so hot in my filming room. It's one of the big issues I'm having recently, and I just start sweating. Like anytime I have my hair down, especially if it's warmer out here, even with the AC pumping, it's something about the heat rising in my house, but also the sun beating down in this room. It's like a real problem. I'm considering moving my entire filming room down to the lower level. It's like a second bedroom, sort of like half basement sort of thing where it's very cool. So I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about, but moving all my lights and makeup sounds like a huge task. So anyways, I threw my hair back because I was like literally dripping sweat. So let's just disregard that and start talking about my first impression on the products. Starting out with the eyeshadow primer. So I didn't have any issues using this eyeshadow primer. I felt like the shadows blended great on top of it. It's a very thin texture and there was like a very slight tack to it once it set. It wasn't one of those that's super sticky that I feel like can grab onto shadows. It was sort of right in the middle. It definitely had a little bit of a silicone type feel, so I could see how that would be nice if you have, you know, like crepey eyelids or fine lines and you really want to smooth out your lid before you go in with shadow, but I felt like everything blended nicely over it. My only issue for me personally is I really like something that has more pigment. I like to use like a concealer because I do clean up under my brow, and then I like to kind of blank out my eyelid because I have veining and all of that stuff. To be honest, once you put your shadow on, it doesn't matter. Your shadow covers up your eyelids anyway. But for me, I still need to use a concealer under my brow because I do have microblading that I like to cover up. So I would have to use two products rather than just pulling the concealer down. So that's really my only gripe about it. I feel like it worked just fine. I mean, the texture was nice and thin, not heavy, not too sticky, not slipping and sliding. Shadows blended nicely, but I would prefer something that had like a fuller pigment that would cover all the discoloration on my eyelid. Moving on to the eyeshadow palette, I had zero issues blending any of the shades that I used today, and I did use quite a few. Now this is a matte heavy palette, and I do believe that this is more of a buildable formula, which could be a good thing if you're a beginner or you just don't like super pigmented shadows that right when you put it down you can't get it to blend. I feel like you can really layer these and build depth. This would be a great everyday palette. I feel like this would be a great almost like office palette, or if you're a nurse or a teacher, really just anyone that likes neutrals. And if you want to add depth and create a nighttime smoky look, you can definitely do that. They're just more buildable, so you have that option. I also think that the metallics are a little bit more subdued. They're more of like a satin metallic. They're not crazy intense. There's no glitter or anything really like wow in your face metallic. They're just like a standard shimmer. They definitely show up, but when I think of Jaclyn Cosmetics and Jaclyn, I think of like bam in your face. Although when I heard this was a collaboration with her mom, it makes sense to me. So this is a beautiful, just like wearable, neutral palette with a little bit of greens in there, maybe a little bit of like the blue grays. I like that it's not the standard warm palette that we see so many times. You do have some options in here, and it is matte heavy. So if you like mattes or you use mattes mostly, I think you would enjoy this palette. The quality is good. I really had zero issues using it. I just have this color story 10 times over, which honestly, that is something I could say for a lot of palettes. Okay, let's talk about the loose setting powders. This product shocked me the most out of everything I tried today. I don't love this pressed into my T-zone like I usually do with my Huda Beauty powder. Anytime something has any sort of radiance in it, it is going to accentuate your texture. So for me, this is something that I would dust on my forehead, but I actually really like this product as a highlighter. Recently, I've been getting more into just like softer highlighters or no highlighter most days. This is something I would actually use as a highlighter. It gives you this lit from within glow. I think this product is gorgeous, but I just don't like it in textured areas. So if you have big pores, if you have really dry under eyes or fine lines, I would say use a brush, lightly sweep it on. This is not a powder that I would use with a puff or with a sponge. So for me, I will stick with my Huda Beauty in my T-zone, but I could definitely see myself using the Sheer Fair as almost like a finishing powder, just like on the high points of my face, or even a highlighter. I want to add a little bit more just to show you what like I would do with it. So I didn't apply a highlighter on my cheek today because I felt like this gave that to me in a very soft way. And because it's so soft, there's not like a line of demarcation. It just honestly made me look like lit from within, like you have a glowy base on, but I have a matte base on. So I really like this, just not something that I would pack on my T-zone. I would more so just hit the tops of my cheekbones, my forehead, dust it on the perimeters of my face. It really does make me feel like I have this like really soft radiance or glow, but it doesn't add, you know, this heavy film of like a setting spray or a really dewy liquid highlighter that's sticking to everything. So I do think it's beautiful. I think you just have to remember that less is more and be mindful of where you're putting it. Now, in terms of my thoughts on the eyeliners, I feel like they were nice and creamy, but not too slick, like they were sliding all over. They took a little bit of warming up to get them going in the waterline, but they did adhere pretty easily. Now, in terms of wear, obviously it's too early to tell. They didn't get on my contacts, which is a plus. I would like to play with these more and maybe try to like smudge them out and see, you know, if they smudge and then set, or if they're really like dry or too creamy. Overall, I think they're fine. It's not something that I feel like, wow, like it blew me away, but it's not something that I struggled with either. I feel like it's a good quality eyeliner. In terms of the lip liners, Jaclyn Cosmetics has a really great formula. They're not too creamy, but they're also not stiff. They are pigmented, they glide on, and they wear well. I pretty much knew these lip liner colors weren't gonna be my favorite. I just tend to go for more nude brown shades, and these are very pink. And I feel like two of the shades, the two lighter shades, are super, super light. And I just don't know how many people really want like a baby doll pink lip liner, but I think it is something different. I just don't think that these colors are going to become a favorite of mine. Now, something that did surprise me, and I do think it could be just pairing these with the pink lip liners, but I really thought I was going to like Faith and Hope in the liquid lipsticks. I do tend to prefer a really light liquid lipstick or lipstick in general with a deeper lip liner. These translated a lot more bright on the lips, and I don't know if it was because I had that really bright pink lip liner to match. I'm not a huge fan of liquid lipsticks. I tend to like more of like a velvet or satin liquid lipstick that's not completely dry down matte. So I'm just not somebody that really uses a ton of like matte dry down liquid lipsticks. I do want to try these with a lip liner that's more brown or nude and see if it changes my mind. But overall, I'm a little shocked that I didn't love immediately off the bat these pink colors. I think it's just a little bit too much like in your face, bubblegum, hot pink almost, and it was a little bit jarring for me. It could be just because my eyes have that green on it. So I feel like you kind of have to find the right combo, but this really isn't my favorite. And finally, let's talk about my first impression on the setting spray. I'm unsure how to feel about this because when I initially watched the Jaclyn reveal video, she was talking about how it really locks your makeup in, or that's the impression that I got. I thought it was gonna be like the Charlotte Tilbury spray, which I love, but then reading the card they sent, it seems like it's more of a hydrating setting spray that melts your powders in. I do feel like I went a little heavy and I have a little bit of like attack on my forehead, but the thing I don't love about it is I do feel like it is making me a little bit oily in my T-zone, and it's giving me texture that I don't really love. I mean, I'm wearing the Estee Lauder Double Wear, which is like matte, and I feel like I've had to touch up a couple times under these lights because this added a lot of hydration and glow, and that's okay again for my perimeter of my face. I just like to keep my T-zone matte so that it smooths out my texture, but if you have dry skin or you're looking for a really glowy setting spray, this may be the ticket. I just really need to read up on it more because I feel like initially I had thought that it was more of like a all-nighter from Urban Decay or something like that. I feel like this is more of like a MAC Fix Plus, but even more hydrating. So I think it's a nice product, but I just prefer something that locks my makeup in. All right, guys, so I think that is everything for this first impression and demo of the new Jaclyn Cosmetics collection. Do let me know your thoughts down below if you pick something up, what you're loving, what do you want to pick up, what are you not interested in, and what do you think about how the products applied when I tried them today? I would love to know your thoughts. I will link all the products down below in my description box. If you're new here, I hope you subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.